Is it a macro lens or portrait lens? Stay tuned, we'll decide. Hi, my name is Frank White and welcome to Photography Tips and Reviews. Today I am going to talk about the EF 100mm f2.8 prime lens. Now, you may ask, what's a prime lens? A prime lens is a lens that only has one focal length. The focal length of this lens is 100 millimeters. Um, Unlike zoom lens, which may be from 70 to 200 millimeters, a prime lens only has one focal length, and if you want to zoom, then you have to zoom with your feet. Okay, so the question about this lens is it a focal, is it a prime lens, or is it a portrait lens? Well, actually, it's both. Um, this lens is fantastic for taking macros, and macro photography, macro for short, is extreme close-ups. It's also a great lens for portraits because it flattens out the facial features so that anyone with a protruding nose, it flattens out that nose, kind of compresses the face, which makes the portrait of a person more flattering. For macro photography, this lens does nice one-to-one macro, and one-to-one means whatever you see, whatever you take a picture of is pretty much the same size that the sensor see. It's the sizes match one-to-one. So it's not like you take a picture of something and it looks like it's only one half as large in, say, a different lens. But so it is a true one-to-one macro lens with a minimum focusing distance of 12 inches. Now that 12 inches might not sound like a lot, but up against the body from the sensor to the subject, the camera and the lens itself is going to take about 6 or 7 inches. I haven't actually measured it, but so relatively speaking, it's going to feel more like it's 6 or 7 inches by the time you get your lens mounted. And for this camera here, the sensor is located right here where this mark is at. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, I guess you can. So this little guy here shows me exactly where my sensor is at. And so I can focus up to, I guess, up to about here. So it's a great lens for macro photography. Now, a lot of people use what's called extension tubes, and this is actually 3 extension tubes stacked together. I'm just going to pull one or two apart so that you can see how they break down. And depending on how many extensions you put on, determines how much further you push that lens back from that sensor. So pushing, let me take this lens off, pushing the lens away from the sensor actually increases the magnification. So with extension tubes, you can really get some real close-ups. Now, the extension tubes that I have are $15, $20 extension tubes. I don't do a lot of macro photography, so I don't I did not make a real investment into extension tubes, but you can get extension tubes that are not as dumb as mine. My extension tubes does not let the the autofocusing system from the lens talk to the camera body. With that said, you can get extension lens that actually do allow the lens to talk to the body. And I'm just going to stick this guy on here so that you can get an idea how it mounts. So I got to find my little red dot on here, and I see it and match it up just like I would if I were doing it with a lens. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that red dot there. Okay, and stick it in there, lock it down, tighten them up a little bit, and now I got a red dot here, and I match that up. Okay, and so you can see with number 3 and number 1 on just how much further the lens are pushed from the sensor to increase my magnification. So I prefer to use this lens as a portrait lens, and the reason why, in addition to it making the subject a little bit more flattering, is it's tack sharp for prime. Well, most primes are tack sharp, but this lens has 12 elements in 8 groups. None of the elements are special, like fluorite or low dispersion glass, because it is a prime, but you do get excellent image quality out of this guy. Optionally, you can add a lens hood for outdoor shoots, so that to reduce sun flare in this lens, the hood is a separate purchase. It does not come with the lens. The lens itself weighs about 1.3 pounds, or just over 1.3 pounds. So for some folks, it could be considered a pretty heavy lens. Even though it's made of plastic, has a real good build quality. It feels solid in your hand, and overall, for what it does, it's a great lens. Now, it's in my tool cadre, but I have no intents to replace this lens unless for some reason I really get into macro and I decide to replace it with the and I decide to replace it with the 100mm f2.8L lens. So overall, if you find yourself doing macro work or a lot of portrait work on a full frame body, then this lens is one of the lenses that you really should consider if you don't consider getting the L lens. Now this lens is probably about $800-900 cheaper than the L lens. So let's say I think about $600 cheaper. This lens is about $500, and I think the prime is somewhere around $1,200. Now, if I'm wrong about that, correct me in the comments below. So with that said, guys, I really appreciate you watching this video. As I always like to say, if you're going to shoot anybody today, shoot them with a Canon or a camera of your choice. And as always, have a great day and happy shooting.